Hello. Um, our team is Team 3, and we're going to be introducing the app called CO2 Tracker. So about the Team 3. So our selected theme was Theme 2, Climate Change and Environmental Risk Mitigation. Our selected track is App Inventor. Our team members are Angel, Sweta, Arjun, Jungwoo, and Skylar, and our team mentor is Sajana.
The problem we're trying to fix is how global climate change is severely affecting the health of the planet and its inhabitants. Global warming is caused by many factors, especially the greenhouse effects, and the main culprit of it is the release of carbon dioxide into the atmosphere that traps the heat. Our significance and goals, we chose to focus on global warming because it's a big issue that most people don't realize it's ongoing and puts animal habitats at risk, especially our whole planet. Our app can help educate users who don't know how badly it impacts their environment, and it gives users motivation to save the planet by showing their own carbon footprint.
Research is one of the most important parts of creating the app. After all, you'd have to learn more about the topic before creating an app about it and working on the information slides and stuff. Our topic that we chose was global warming. Since global warming is a big topic to cover, we mainly went over what it is, carbon emissions, and a few others. This app can help people who aren't knowledgeable about global warming learn more about the topic. The app covers most of the important information that you'd want to know and is easy to use. On the information screen, it presents information about global warming, the topic that we chose, so that the end user gets to know more about the topic.
On the carbon footprint tracking screen, when cooking a meal or ordering one, the user can use the screen to calculate all of the carbon being emitted per proportion for every food item listed. For example, if a user is eating some steak with a side of corn, the app will calculate how much carbon is released from the production of those two ingredients. It assumes that each portion is roughly 100 grams, as seen on the screen to the right. On the leaderboard screen, in order to further motivate users to participate and control their CO2 emissions, a leaderboard is implemented. When users enter their username at the top and click the foods they have consumed, 3 pieces of different information are computed: the health points, carbon score, and the final total score. All this information is gathered together to be put on the leaderboard. That's on the bottom. Utilizing 3-point markers. Why we need 2 measures, the carbon and the health scores. Since we have a leaderboard, the first thing we had to do was have a parameter to rank the users with. You can minimize your carbon emission by just eating vegetables, but that wouldn't be healthy. So we decided to add a second measure, a health score. Both the healthy index points and the carbon emission scores are between 0 and 1. The final score for the user is the average of the 2. How we got the health points. How do we compute the health score? This was a bit difficult to come up with, in particular common indexes, such as HEI from the US Food and Nutrition Service, Healthy Eating Index, which would require more information, for instance, exact grams. It would also require more sophisticated algorithms to compute. Instead, we did something more simple. There are 4 categories, and each has 0.25 points. In order to get full points from vegetables, you need to have at least 3 vegetables. And for the other 3, you need to have at least 1 of the selected food items. Your final health score will be between 0 and 1 based on the foods you have consumed. How we got the carbon emission score. According to my research, suggested carbon emission from food is 2 tons per person per year, which is around 1.826 kilograms per meal. We compute the ratio of the total emission from the users and the suggested amount. The total emission over the suggested amount. If this ratio is greater than 0.8, as shown on the graph, the user gets 1 full point. Otherwise, the user gets an exponentially decreasing points.
Okay, so in the demo, it shows you the user here is checking boxes, and first it checks boxes in the meat section, then it checks boxes in dairy, nuts and beans, and veggies and fruits, and then it gives you the carbon emission. And then when you uncheck boxes, the carbon emission would intuitively being lower. So here he unchecked, and then you get less. And there's also an information screen. And therefore, and that's all I have to say here.
If we had more time to better develop our app, some of the future steps we would do is add more common foods to the checklist. Also improve the HEI calculations by making things more data-driven and scientific. And lastly, add functionality that uses AI to recognize the ingredients. Thank you for listening to our presentation on the CO2 Tracker by Team 3.
So we'll now begin our Q&A session for this team. That was a very interesting product idea. I think it can make a large